Yay! We are live. Let me throw David up on the stage with me. Hello, hello.
Hello.
All right. I'm going to go zoom in so we're full screen today. All right. Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties. I actually, because I was thinking about our folks that join us on the East Coast, I typically say this is 3 p.m. Eastern, which we generally always talk in Eastern Standard Time. Bless you for Zooms and meetings. So I set us actually for 3 p.m. Eastern Mountain Standard Time instead of
Ah,
Eastern in the live stream. So it was like not letting me go
that
live,
is
but we
yeah,
are
that is not the
officially
time
live.
it is.
Well, David and I have both had an eventful morning because we had the first OPEX method week one lecture today, lab on Thursday, and office hours on Friday, which we can get into. But yeah, it's been a great morning so far. How about you? You had swim
I agree.
lessons?
I had swim lessons, and the coach said my daughter did awesome. She's floating on her stomach, working on turning over without throwing her head up in the air. And she told me that she was going to be really brave because she knew I wasn't going to get in the pool with her anymore. She moved up a level, and her reward for being super, super brave, other than lots of compliments, is she gets to take a coffee creamer home because they have a Keurig, and she loves creamer. So the other kids get lollipops, and Avery gets a creamer. And
What
that's
does she do
exactly
with
how
it?
she likes it. She drinks it.
Just by
She
itself?
just she just likes creamer. Yeah.
A flavor, flavor in particular, or all creamers?
Well, all creamers. That sometimes they have vanilla, which are the blue ones. So if there's blue, she likes a blue one. But today it was just regular coffee creamers, and so she took two. That's fine. And then we got back to the house, her and grandma. She poured a little coffee creamer in her little tiny, tiny cup, and she had a creamer for being super brave. It was awesome.
That's so cool. I'm hoping I'm not, I might have a little bit of lag. Hey, can you see a difference? I got a new webcam.
I can. You had a
Does
little
it look
lag there
clear?
for a
Watch
second,
this.
but it's very. Oh, can you message me what you got? I actually need to invest in a webcam, and I found one that has like some of this AI stuff in it, but I don't know if it's a good
I will, yeah, because I normally just even record my podcast on my laptop camera, which is very poor quality. I'm trying baby steps on upgrading the system, but I found this recommendation. It was fairly inexpensive off Amazon. I'll send you the link. And
one. Yeah,
it
please.
does have that zoom feature where you can like autofocus using your hand and then like zoom in, zoom out. And sometimes
Yeah.
I notice if I move around, it'll kind of follow me a little bit, but
Okay.
the quality is supposed to be a little bit better. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. Please send me that
But
link.
you're all set up. You've been working with the Osmo Pocket 3, right? And a couple of other
Mhm.
gadgets.
Mostly just that. Yeah, mostly just the Osmo, and then the little. It comes with a little lapel mic when you get like the creator package. So that's what I've been using to film pretty much all my content these days, which is
You
awesome.
like it?
Yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of its like auto tracking capabilities, so it'll kind of follow you around the gym. You can turn it on to selfie mode, so once it picks up your face, it'll stay on your face, unless you turn around for too long and then it loses you. But as long as you're facing the camera, it'll follow you with a pretty good range. You know, the gym isn't huge, so it'll follow me basically from side to side. And then as long as you're not moving too fast, it will do a pretty good job of tracking like a squat or a lunge, or like it's great for mobility drills. The only thing it can't keep up with, even when you switch it to a fast mode, is like a vertical jump. It's going to be behind. Like it'll catch you after you've already landed on a box or something like that. But in general, yeah, it's fantastic. Like the audio quality, honestly, is super, super good too.
Oh, amazing. I'm gonna have to check it out. I know for anyone who's shopping for anything like that, I believe they have it at Costco right now. I don't know
Oh,
which
really?
version it is at Costco, but I think it's a little bit less if you buy it at Costco.
Yeah. I mean, I recorded like the majority of a lecture I did last Friday in class, and so I just set it up and hit play, and it would kind of follow me back and forth in front of the projector screen. And if I would sit down, it would follow me there and kind of keep the camera angle consistent. And the audio is awesome. So yeah, I'm a fan.
I know you updated everyone on like the next 12 weeks for you are kind of very instructor education and heavy, but just for
Yeah.
recapping, like share with everyone what's going on in your world because you have a lot going on.
Yeah. So as a student, like you mentioned, I just did the first of all of the OPEX method lectures. So just kind of like the intro to building a client relationship and the intake process, and thinking about, lifestyle coming before training as a good coach. So that'll be something I do Tuesdays and Thursdays as a student. Mondays and Fridays, I teach at National Personal Training Academy here in Mesa, Arizona. So I teach anatomy on Mondays. And then Fridays are a new course that I've built called Advanced Training Principles. Mondays is basically like it's a trade school for people who want to become personal trainers. And then Fridays, the curriculum I've built out is for people who are currently trainers or recent graduates who want to keep going and learning more and more. I thought you were raising your hand to ask me a question. Speaking of being a teacher. And so, yeah, last week was kind of reviewing the current state of health in America and the role of the fitness professional in that evolving, some might say degrading landscape. And then we talked about squats as like, how do we screen and assess our squats? Why are they such an awesome diagnostic tool? Why are people afraid of them? How has the fitness industry contributed to people being afraid of them? What are the joints involved? What are the accessory movements that can support the squat? How do they differ? How do you choose? This Friday will be, we'll talk about the hinge pattern and the lunge. And then that'll be the next 7 more Fridays I'll be teaching that. Then the one other thing I have going on just from an educator standpoint is I'm speaking at the NSCA Rocky Mountain Conference in Phoenix on November 8th, also talking about the hinge pattern.
Gosh, that is you're crushing right now. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
All
and at some
while
point,
managing
I say this every week.
and
I'm
a
like,
full
I
roster.
will have, yeah. And at some point I will have a podcast, I swear. But yeah, I think my coaching books, I think are I would take on another client. I'm always taking on, I'm always accepting applications. Sometimes it's for a wait list. But yeah, I'm pretty much full right now. I could probably take on one more client. I'm looking at integrating and kind of partnering with a nutrition coaching and functional diagnostic nutrition company to kind of bolster the nutrition side of things within Stronger in Motion. But yeah, life is good. It's busy.
That's so awesome. What do you think? What was like one aha or takeaway from today's lecture that you thought was like a different perspective or just interesting?
I honestly really liked something that Carl said early on, which was like asking the coach, what are your core values that you want to infuse into every single client, regardless of the things they're saying that they value as a client, right? Not instead of listening to their core values, but like also understanding what do you value as a coach within that client coach relationship? What are the things that are going to be kind of mainstays of any program you write or just any relationship you have with a client? I like the core values idea in general. Earlier this year, I read, it's called Dare to Lead. It's on my bookshelf. It's a Brene Brown book. And one of the activities inside of that book is to define your personal 2 core values out of this like 100+ core values list, and just trying to whittle it all the way down to 2. So one of my takeaways / one of my action steps that I put in my little notes from today's call was going back to that book, opening up that list of core values and figuring out what my 2 core values are as a coach, as opposed to just as a person. And then I think that would be a really interesting thing to include into an intake form potentially, right? Asking my client what their 2 primary or maybe 3 primary core values are and giving them a list to choose from. I think that would be super fascinating.
I like that. I mean, and you always talk about obviously just strength as a base of so many other things. And I know even with the exercise that you're doing right now in your social content around just like interesting facts of like benefits of movement, like both of those things kind of connect to core values too.
Yeah, the 2 values that I ended up circling, and I always meant to go back and like this from that book, were health and fulfillment. So those are like the 2 domains that pretty much all my other choices fall under. Like, is it Is it helping me and my family and people I love be healthier? And is it bringing me some level of fulfillment? And so helping other people learn more about health brings me fulfillment. So again, it's like it all kind of ties together, but fulfillment is I think that's super important.
Yeah, I know. And a lot of people like chase that, but haven't really defined it for themselves, right?
Mm,
that's a nice word to say, right? Like, I want to enjoy the work that I do. I want to feel like it's rewarding. And they kind of circle around
yeah,
that language of fulfillment, but then don't always take the time to write down and think through critically, like, what is it that makes them happy from a lifestyle perspective, or just, all the elements. But it's so important to do. A lot of coaches that I've heard go through CCP in the past, that there's a whole like MVP kind of scenario where you're working through, like, as an individual, what are my values, what is my mission, and so on and so forth. And just taking the time to really map that out for yourself always ends up being so eye-opening for people.
yeah. Well, and I would probably argue that core values are very similar to priorities. Not exactly a synonym, but close. And that's another thing that Carl brought up today was like priorities are something you have to show me, not tell me, because you'll tell me what you want your priorities to be, as opposed to what they actually are. And I think probably core values are the same. If I ask you what your core values are, you're probably going to tell me what you want them to be. And then if you were to give me, video feed, video replay of your last 7 days of life, you're like, well, I don't know if those are actually your core values, right? Or at least you're
Yeah.
not living in a way that aligns with those. So,
I think actually Brandon on the BG Perform podcast, they had an episode about this a few weeks back that was looking at, I think, critically looking at the first 30 days of working with a client and how
mm,
important it was to spend time really evaluating, like, tell me what you're currently doing in daily habits, weekly structure, priorities of the month, like what actually gets done. Way more important than me just asking you a bunch of questions and you telling me what you think I want to hear as a coach, right?
right. Yeah, because that's like a recipe for a mismatch potentially.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, and you said you mentioned podcast is coming. Is this something you're still working on with Emily?
Yes, we have a call today at 2:30. She
Oh, amazing.
she's a super busy coach. She was just invited to be part of like a reality show for female entrepreneurs in the Los Angeles area. So any conversation about setting up recording times had to just be put on the shelf until that was done. So we're talking today about that, among other things.
Oh, how exciting. Is that already done being filmed, or is she just about to start that?
No, it's done. It didn't last as long as she thought. It sounds like it was not the experience she was hoping for,
Oh,
and kind of just like terribly disorganized. So, is what it is. It's one of those things you say yes to, and just then it's completely out of your hands. It's like I have no idea what the actual structure of the show was. My head just goes to like Love Is Blind, right? And like you show up to this thing and like you go in there thinking you have main character energy, and you're like, wait a minute, like you're not going to film any of my dates, and I'm just like the guy in the kitchen, like filling up water, and then I'm just eliminated. Like, no, cool. And I think in my head that's what happened.
oh my gosh, that's funny. Olympia was this weekend. Since I follow bodybuilding so closely from my past lives, I was like all up on just keeping tabs on what was happening over the course of the weekend. And I totally forgot that they had powerlifting there.
Yeah, they do. They do have powerlifting. I saw Steffi was back, which is cool. And I feel like, is it at the Olympia that they do the animal cage, or is that Arnold? I think that's at the
That's
Arnold.
Arnold. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what else happened this weekend? So kind of a juxtaposition to, and I have nothing against bodybuilding, but like, it's getting up on stage in,
Yeah.
very little the tiniest swimsuit a man can wear, and
Or
getting,
female.
score for that, or female. Yeah, yeah, totally. Did you see that the world record for most lunges completed in an hour, furthest distance lunged in an hour, 12 hours, and 24 hours were all set on Saturday?
Oh my gosh. Was this just like a random Guinness Book kind of attempt, or was this at an event?
So no, this was a single person. His name's Mike McCassell. I know about this because I used to work with him, and he's a friend. but this was his ninth out of the 12 labors of Hercules. So he's doing his 12 labors. This is his ninth labor, I think his seventh world record or eighth world record. But he did, I'm going to pull it up. Oh no, it's on my phone. Let me hold on 1 second. I want to give you the actual number that's accurate.
That's insane. I remember, you remember Corey G Fitness? And
Uh-huh.
I knew him from his days at Muscle Farm, my days at bodybuilding.com.
Yeah.
And I think he still does this, but like he used to go to the track and lunge like a mile or half mile or a mile every morning at the track. And I
Yeah.
was
It was
always
like a
like,
half
dang that.
mile to a mile. Uh-huh. It's like lunge and
Yeah.
learn. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Lunge and learn, which I thought was like such a
So
great idea, but this is impressive.
Mike did 3,262 walking lunges in 1 hour, covering 2.22 miles. And then
That is
ultimately
insane.
at 12 hours, he was at 4,472. And then after 20 hours, he was at 4,769 walking lunges. And he did this all out in like the Alfred Desert in the Death Valley area, just like along that road out in the elements. Yeah. Previously, like he went again. I happen to know Mike. A handful of years ago, he was in the same desert and he strapped himself to a Ford F-150 and pulled it 22 miles for veteran suicide awareness, 22 a day. He currently has the world record for longest time fully submerged in ice. He broke Wim Hof's record. He was the first guy to break David Goggins' pull-up record, and he did it in a 30-pound with a 30-pound pack on. He's got some unbelievable stuff that he's done. It's always either for veteran mental health or for Parkinson's disease awareness. But yeah, that was also happening on Saturday, which is just insane.
Absolutely incredible. I mean, there
Yeah,
was a lot going on this weekend
nuts.
too, because I saw there was a Masters CrossFit competition that we had some coaches with themselves and with athletes competing. So I think this
Chicago
time of year, you
Marathon was
always have
this
a lot happening.
weekend. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so awesome. Wow,
Yeah,
I'm just like
people
stuck
doing
on those
things.
lunges. That is
Yeah,
crazy. I
yeah. You
can't
should check out his
imagine the
Instagram
amount
because
of
it's like,
lactic acid in your quads.
oh yeah. I mean, if you look on his Instagram, like the one where he was getting to his hour, it was like 4 or 5 in a row, and then he would literally just like fall. It's not like he would like lay down and rest. It was like he was trying to do another lunge and he would fall, and he would get up and he would do like 4 or 5 more and he would fall. Right? There was no. So I worked with him in Portland, and I met him when he was in the middle of running 20 miles a day for 100 straight days. And he was the first person to talk to me about this idea that your brain will typically tell you need to stop when you're at 40% of what your body's capable of in that moment. And his part of what he trains to do is like 41%, 42%, 43% to see how close he can get to 100% of matching like mind and body. And so you can see that, right? Like not a lot of people would. Not I've personally never done lunges to the point where I fell over while trying to do a lunge. And he just kept doing that like over and over and over and over.
Yeah, that mental, the ability to really push mentally past where you think you are capable of it's rare. I mean, like
It's
I
it's
always
trainable. It's trainable, but it's rare.
I know there was maybe we'll get into this in CCP, but there's an OPEX NME test that's done with the squat, and it's a percentage of your max squat for a certain amount of reps and gives you an NME score. And I'm always someone who would score higher. I think I'm not going to say generally it's a female thing, but I feel like I might have heard that somewhere that females tend to have higher NME, but I would always rank higher. And it made sense to me because I tend to enjoy doing more endurance type training than like max effort type training. I've always struggled to kind of find that level of oomph that you
Is
need
that
to get to
neuromuscular endurance
efficiency, I think.
efficiency? I know there is
Yeah,
evidence that women in general are capable of doing more repetitions at a higher percentage of their 1RM.
I think that's
And that's
exactly
like
it.
a biological thing.
Yeah.
Whereas the ability to call on every fiber for a true 1RM is more inherently like a male characteristic.
Yeah. I think about this every time I watch Charlie even approach like, triples, but definitely singles. I'm just like, how do you connect at that level and allow yourself to push all powerlifters? I think when they are, at that near max level, it's just a crazy thing to watch.
I think the guy who was best at that probably ever in the history of the world was Chris Duffin when he squatted 1,000 pounds, and he's also deadlifted 1,000 pounds. He's the only guy to ever do that. And I think the
Wow.
only guy to ever go maybe 900 until recently in competition. But yeah, I mean, he would talk about like he has a very dark history, personal history. And so he just basically learned how to tap into, like, voluntarily get into like the deepest fight or flight. So he doesn't remember most of his insane strength feats because he's basically blacked out. And then it takes him like 20 minutes after that attempt to like come back to somewhere where he could even kind of form a coherent sentence. Just nuts.
Yeah. What you just said made me remember I was doing some work a while back with Eddie Hall. And I remember chatting with him about the documentary where he opened up about how he gets to those like very high level feats of strength. And he wouldn't go into too much detail, but he did share that he had like visualization drills that he would work on that often involved like his family in life threatening situations to like flip that switch for him to make him go after that. But it makes sense that you really have to create some kind of narrative in your mind to do that.
Yeah, yeah. It's like your family's under a car, you know, like not really, but like how are you going to lift the car off your family? And really, it's a barbell. And yeah. So how do you overcome all the things that want to keep you safe so you can just do the thing you have to do?
Yeah. Crazy. Feats of strength are crazy. How's your
Mhm.
pull-up work going? Because you're doing a challenge
Oh,
on that
that's
too, right?
good. Yeah. My Bulgarian split squats are not going as well. That's just like hard to make the time for because you have to do both legs. Pull-ups are going fine. Pull-ups, I have one more week, or sorry, one more session within this like week 2 out of 3 protocol. So I think that'll be 10 by 3 at 78 extra pounds. And then I'll run it back one more week, 4 days of training, and then I'll test probably 3 rep max again. So before it was 100 pounds. If I can go 10 by 3 at close to 80, I know my 3RM is more than 100. Um, I would love like 120 would be really cool for 3 reps.
So crazy.
Yeah, my elbows are hurting a little bit, so I know I'm glad there's a finish line.
Yeah, for sure. Um, well, awesome. That's super exciting. And the rest of your week, how does it look with you like finishing up teaching, lecturing, prepping for next week?
Yeah, this week, today is going to be program design for a few clients, getting ahead. I've got some videos to watch and some messages to send. And Wednesday, Thursday is slideshow creation for Friday's class. And that's kind of going to be, I think, my rhythm for the next few weeks is like front half of the week, more coaching stuff, back half of the week, more creative slideshow creation stuff. The nice thing is this week's slideshow will probably mostly double for my lecture for NSCA because it's Hinge. I'm going to be talking about a lot of the same things. So luckily at this point, I'm kind of like I can use a lot of the material multiple times, which is cool.
Yeah. What is there a part of that process that you like the most and dislike the most, like when you're prepping for lectures?
Ooh, huh. the part I the part I like the least, so I just don't do it, is I don't practice the lectures. I just kind of wing it. I will practice the one for the NSCA. I'm putting that out there. I'm saying that I will. But honestly, the nice thing about creating the slides is it's kind of like practicing the slides. Like I'm putting all the words on, I'm coming up with the concepts. It's like my ideas. So I can, once I see the slide pop up, I may not know what's coming next, but once I see the slide, I'm like, oh, that's familiar. I love just the delivery of the information. I love like riffing off of, like, I put a couple things on a slide and it'll trigger some other thought, and I like to share it. Um, yeah, I like all of it. I mean, I just don't like feeling rushed, to be honest. That's the only downside is feeling rushed.
Yeah, because you want it to be great, right? And you're like, I want to take this time and like craft this thing that's going to be so impactful to the people on the other end.
Yeah, and yes, I do. I can. It's nice that I can remind myself like this is first round. Like I'll be able to refine this. I want the first round to be good, um, obviously, but yeah, it's just I don't know. I mean, you've been there, right? There's like more to get done than the hours in the day seem like they would allow, and you realize that it's your fault for putting all this stuff on your plate. It's like Thanksgiving. Like, oh man, I can't eat the thing I wanted to eat
Yeah.
because I already ate too much. Um, so I'm trying to avoid that as best I can.
Oh, no, such good points. And I think you are teaching what you know, so it's always going to come out the way it's intended to come out. And you're so good at reading a room too that I bet you just get a lot of input from the audience itself and like what you're learning about them week over week.
Yes. Yep. That's 100% right. I'm I'm very confident that the best parts of any classes I've ever taught are the times where someone asks a question. If it's not the thing on the slide, it's like the question that gets asked and then having to like think through the answer in real time is, I think, always the most valuable thing.
Yeah, Jason and I touched on this last week when right after you jumped off, we were talking about just the course experience and how much it's always kind of eye-opening when people don't take advantage of using the time that they have allocated for themselves to actually learn, but they struggle to kind of advocate for personalizing the information to whatever context they're currently in, and making that kind of like selfish moment, which is exactly what they've signed up to do in taking the course, but like asking the question in a way that's really impactful to your current situation seems to kind of always be lacking in these group environments. And so helping people, what is your strategy for getting people to break the ice and just like go for it and maximize the time?
So I will, I mean, early on, within the first probably 10 minutes of teaching, I will always say out loud, like, I want you to ask questions because it is the most valuable part of the course. There's going to be enough time for me to get through the material that I have planned. But it would be a shame if no one asks a question. Um, you kind of go back to, if most of the people in the room are in the same scenario, you're probably not the only one thinking of the question. I've created the material, so obviously it makes sense to me. That doesn't guarantee that it's going to be perfectly crystal clear to you. So even if it's just a question of clarification, that can be really valuable to the whole room. And then typically what I'll add is, if it's extremely individual specific, then we can always talk about it at lunch or talk about it after class, right? If it's just like, we're going to go down this rabbit hole that's actually going to take away from the rest of the class, right? Because it's so niche or so
Yeah.
personal, or I can tell you're going to have 18 follow-up questions. Like, let's just write that down. And then like, I'm happy to talk through it. So again, it's like, ask the questions in class, but also know that we can ask questions outside of class. And sometimes, that means the first thing we do in next class is I ask them to ask the question again, because we talked about it and realized it was valuable for everyone. And then let's answer this to everyone again.
Yeah, so important. Well, David, thank you so much for jumping in with me and staying a little extra today.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And I hope you have the best week preparing for all of the fun lectures ahead. And I'm just thinking about you over the next 12 weeks. I know you have a lot going on.
Yeah, but it's good. Thanks. I'll survive.
Awesome. Awesome. Chat soon.
All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye. And hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well.
Awesome.
David and I were just chatting. We were building off our conversation that you and I had last week around like maximizing student participation, because he's teaching at a local institute here in Phoenix some live anatomy and
Nice.
biomechanics type courses. And he was saying the same kind of thing, like struggling to get that participation.
Yeah, I think that's everywhere. I think people are just hesitant to participate or put themselves out there, make themselves feel like, if they ask a question, then they don't understand, they don't know, where everyone else does, where no one really understands that much, So, yeah.
Oh, amazing. How was your week going so far?
Pretty good. Yeah, I mean, it's Tuesday, right? So, very special day today, Candace. It's a very special day.
What's going on?
Big Daddy's birthday.
It's your birthday?
It's my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's amazing. What are you guys gonna do
Yes.
to celebrate?
Kids activities. So we have practices, and then I think we're gonna get some sushi, and then we're gonna cookies. my wife got special cookies delivered because I love like good chocolate chip cookies. You know, that's my thing.
Anywhere specific?
She didn't tell me. Surprise.
Oh, but do you have a favorite?
No, I just like a good, soft, well-crafted cookie.
Do you guys have Crumble in your area?
Yeah,
Their chocolate chips are pretty good.
I love it. Some people don't love it. I love crumble cookies. You know, it's gonna definitely spike a little fire on the old glycemic load, but I love it.
Yeah, I mean, they do so many fancy options, but I feel like every one I've ever attempted, I'm like, I don't know if it's worth the calories. I think I'd rather have the chocolate chip.
Mm. I've tasted some where I'm like, yeah, I'm going deep in this one. You know.
Last chocolate chip cookie indulgence before we move on is I don't know if this is at every pizza place, but there's this pizza place here locally that does like a pizza cookie. And I think
Mm.
this has become a big trend now where it's like they put it in a pizza pan, line it with the dough, and then like put it in the oven to where it's crispy on the outside, gooey on the inside, and then put ice cream on top with chocolate chips, and they make like a actual pizza cookie.
Now we're
That's
talking.
definitely, you can make it at home. It's really good.
Speaking of pizza and you being in Arizona, I don't know if it's still true, but there's a pizza joint in Arizona. I forgot the name. I was watching a Netflix documentary, and maybe people listening or watching will know this. And it got rated the greatest pizza place in America, and it was in Arizona. No, in the world, and it was in Arizona. I don't know where because there's something about like the wheat for the dough and the cheese and I gotta figure it out. I'll try to figure it out. It was a Netflix documentary, and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I'll look around because there's definitely a couple of good spots, like Oregano's, which is like more of a thin crust Chicago style thin crust pizza. They have deep dish and the thin crust, but there's a couple of spots that are like known here. But I did not know that we had like the world's best, which would be
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. I gotta figure out the name for you, because then you have to
Okay,
try it.
cool.
You have to let me know.
Yeah, definitely for sure. I'm in for that.
Okay.
Well, I know it was, we had a lot of sports going on this weekend, Masters competition. And I saw you guys had some athletes in that. Did that go well for you?
Yeah, Ryan had two athletes in that, and they did amazing. So he did awesome. Yeah, they did
Killer.
really well. Yeah.
We were saying it was also like the bodybuilding Olympia this weekend, which also had some powerlifting in it. And then David was sharing that there was this guy who broke the world record for the most amount of lunges done in one session. And he did it like out in Death Valley in Vegas.
You know, I saw that. I don't know what it was. I saw like 4,180 like counting reps. I'm like, that's insane. Who would want to do that? But good for him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you guys had a pod come out last week that you took a break for a little bit, but it came out or it didn't come out.
Yeah,
I just saw the
it
hype.
did come out. Yeah. No, it came out, and we actually did another podcast. And I gotta warn the listeners because it's like a 44-minute podcast, but the first 30 minutes, Ryan and I don't even know what we're talking about. We're just talking trash about a lot of different things. So be prepared for that one if you listen.
Oh no, I don't know if that was my internet or yours. I lost you for a second. We'll give you a minute to come back.
I'm
Oh,
back.
you're good now.
Uh-oh.
You're back.
Sorry. Okay.
That's okay. So that episode is on a different topic. Do you remember what the main topic was?
This past podcast, I think how to individualize group programming. Uh-oh.
Oh,
You there?
sorry, I just had you on a. Yep.
Okay.
Good now.
Yep.
I played Ryan's video talking on the promo that you guys shared a while back, and he was talking about volume and progressions, and he like coined a new term, but I can't remember the term he used.
I don't even know. I don't know. We'll check. Yeah. So Ryan doesn't tell me what the podcast is on until we're in the middle of the podcast, so I have no time to prepare for it, which makes it interesting for me.
That does make it interesting. Like you're like,
Yeah.
surprise. Okay, go.
Yeah, exactly. Which I kind of like, it's like, it's not polished. I'm not sitting down and thinking of the world's perfect answer. I just kind of go off the top of my head with what I'm thinking about then in that moment.
Yeah. What are you talking about this week if you haven't already had it, or next if you already have in the mentorship?
I don't know. It's like that's such a terrible answer to give. I honestly, like, I gotta review the notes. Week 3, we're on week 3 of the new mentorship, and I don't know what this chapter's on. I don't know why I don't know right now, Candace. I feel like
It's your
foolish right now.
birthday because you're probably
Yeah.
you're just thinking about having cookies.
We'll blame it on that. Yeah. No, I have it in my tomorrow in the morning time. I review the notes and I review the slides and I go through everything. But yeah, I don't know offhand. I don't
But
know.
it's week 3, so it's probably early in the process on like assessment and something along those lines.
Yeah, I think, next week we dive into assessments and we have Dave Tilley, who's a PT at Champion. He works with a lot of pros. He comes in and talks about acute and chronic stress load and injury prevention and managing overall stress load based around your chronic stress load over time of training. But I don't know why I'm drawing a blank for tomorrow. I don't know.
Okay, well, I have another question because you
Okay,
posted something recently about
You've been stumping me. I feel like I haven't answered one question of yours except for chocolate chip cookies. So let's see
chocolate
if I
chip
can answer
cookies.
this one. Yeah.
That's what it's about. No, you posted something earlier this week about the culture you create as a coach sets the standard. So where did that come from? What's the story behind that one?
I don't know. No, I'm kidding. So that's those Saturday coaches posts, I don't really know where they come from. Like I kind of like created that like theme around the Saturday morning posts, like talking to coaches, and it's really just I sit down and I think about something that's on my mind with how to level up the coaching game, and whatever kind of comes to my mind is what I talk upon for that day. So that was just kind of like what was on my mind about, coaches setting the standards, and it's always sparked from something that's occurred. So something that occurred, or I thought, or I saw something, or I read something, or something happened that kind of led me down that path, right? And then I kind of go down that path a few iterations until how I refine it. But it's just about if we're coaches or business owners, no matter what we are, like the culture starts from the top down, which everyone knows and we all talk about, but are we really setting that culture from the top down? Like how often do we evaluate and grade ourselves and hold ourselves accountable for that culture that is being created, and how our staff are upholding our standards and our mission, how our athletes are performing and handling situations the way we expect them to and want them to. And it could have been sparked. Sometimes I go back to my own basketball playing career when it's like I'm in a basketball game and the coach is trying to get us to calm down, but he's yelling like a fucking lunatic at us, right? And it's like, how do you expect us to calm down and play relaxed and free when you're yelling and screaming at us non-stop in those moments, right? And sometimes it kind of just goes back to my own experiences of people saying they want something but act a certain way, right? It's like it's like your dad telling you not to drink and drive while he's drinking a Budweiser and driving you to football practice as a kid, right? Which, so it kind of like stems from all different situations in my life of how to just what's on my mind for leveling up our game and leveling up, our culture and our craft.
Do you have anything that you do? Because obviously culture at Conquer starts with you. Culture in your household starts with you. Any morning kind of like things that you do to sort of like get yourself in the headspace to be an exemplar of the standard that you want to set each day?
I used to do a lot. Like I used to like be the guy that would wake up early and, do breathing protocols and journaling and all this other stuff. And then like that just took a while and I just got tired of it. Like I used to go down some rabbit holes with that stuff. But I feel like I always go in ebbs and flows, and I'm in naturally very intrinsic, so I naturally reflect a lot. And so now like my morning routine is I wake up around 5-ish, and then I head downstairs and I always drink. I start off with water, and then from there I go into like my vitamins, my nutrients. I walk the dog, and then as I'm walking the dog, kind of like my alone time, I guess. I always have my little bit of alone time during the week, and then I head off to usually jujitsu for like 6 to 7 to kind of get some time in, and then come back. And then once I come back, it's kind of like a sprint to get the kids off for school. But I think for me to kind of get me in my headspace, I get in a good headspace when I have my time to myself. I guess I could say like that. You know, like I wake up, I get my stuff done, I get in my training, or if I'm doing jujitsu or whatever it might be, I get that stuff in, and then I kind of get my day going from there. And normally, like when I'm driving to jujitsu or when I'm driving my car, I don't really listen to music. I use that time to as some alone time to reflect and think a lot. Um, but yeah, I guess I have a very simplistic approach to it now. I just utilize lots of moments to reflect. And like if I feel like my mood and my emotions, my energy is shifted to something that I don't really enjoy, right? Whether it's like, we're all human, right? So I might be more pissed off or annoyed at things one day, or I might be worrying about stuff that probably isn't that big of a deal, but it's still bothering me a ton one day, right? Kind of we always go through these ebbs and flows. I always try to reflect a lot. 9 times out of 10 for me, that comes down to just having shitty sleep, right? If I get good sleep, I can fix a lot of problems. But and then if I do feel like if I can recognize that emotional change and shift to something that's not favorable, I always I try really hard to make sure that I don't bring it home to my family, because I think that's something that's not looked upon enough. Our family are the ones that we're supposed to look out for the most and care for the most and protect the most, and really make sure that we're delivering like our best selves um, to them, right? And most of the time, those are the ones that get the worst version of us, right? Like if we're annoyed, pissed off from work, we come home and we take it out on the people near us, right? So I always make sure I try to recognize those situations as best I can and make sure that when I do get home, I'm not bringing that shit home to them. So I know I kind of went off on a lot of different paths to your question. Um, so if I circle back, I keep it simple. I try to reflect a lot in the moments that I can. I make sure I get in the things that I want to get in that kind of fill my cup, and then ensure that I can then deliver what I need to deliver to the people around me.
And you have so many mirrors around you all the time, right? With the kids, just I'm sure they can
Yeah.
pick up on any energy that you bring, and you could see it instantly being so reflective.
Yeah, and my wife is her and I are opposites, where she's someone that's going to say what's on her mind right away and never hold back and then move on from it. Where I'm someone that's not going to say what's on my mind, but then fester with it and hold a grudge for 37 years, right? So she does a really good job of being like, what the fuck you doing? What's the matter? Forcing us to.
Uh-oh. I think we lost you again, but yeah, I'm sure you'll be back. We are really live. So these things do happen. I'm sure Jason might have had like a battery issue with the phone or something. I'm sure he'll be back in a second. If not, always a pleasure to get wisdom from Jason. I was also going to say, if you guys check out Jason's Instagram, he has a really cool setup in his backyard with cold plunge. And I had never seen this brand of a cold plunge, but looks really cool. So the last thing I was going to ask him about was that cold plunge setup. But um, always a good moment to just get some wisdom from Jay. And oh, you're back now.
Sorry about that.
No worries. Phone
I
battery?
I got to take the call from my phone, and people are calling. I don't know how to shut it off, and then it keeps bonking me out, and I don't know why people are calling me. It's like, isn't
Well,
it funny as you get older? Like when I was younger, can you hear me?
yeah.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. When you're younger, you always want to like call and talk, and as I get older, like I hate when people call me or show up to my house. Right? So like, leave me alone. But
Isn't that weird how that happened so quickly? It was like you almost prefer the text now, and it's like unless there's a planned, agenda to have a phone meeting.
Yeah, totally, 100%.
I was going to say, well, I appreciate the wisdom because it is just it's always great to hear your perspective on these things. The other thing I was going to ask you about was your cold plunge setup.
Yeah.
Is that new?
So no, I've always had the I've had the cold plunge barrel, and I recently invested in the Nordic Wave XL, which I love because I was going back and forth, and I don't like the lay down ones. I like to sit more in an upright position. I feel like the upright position allows me to kind of breathe and chill out. But I found this company, Nordic Wave, and I have no relationship. I don't get paid from them at all, but I fucking love them. Like the XL is huge. I can almost like sprawl out in an upright position, right? It's built for someone who's like 7'4", 330, which is great for me. And then the chiller is fantastic. And it even has like a light in it, right? So that's part of my reflection time every night. I'll sauna for like 10, 12 minutes, cold plunge for like 90 seconds to 2 minutes. And I'll do that for 1 or 2 rotations, depending upon my time. But it's really cool to be in there at night. I put the little light on in the cold plunge and I chill out under the sky and just relax for a little bit, right? So yeah, I love it. I love it.
So cool. So you don't get like an endorphin high and you feel like it calms you down versus like gets you going for the day?
Yeah, it really calms me down. It almost like kind of like brings me back to center, because I'm just focusing on my breathing and just chilling out in the cold plunge. So it gives me a chance to really just kind of chill out, and then I was talking to Allison Brager. Do you know who Allison Brager is?
Mm-mm.
She's amazing. She is an educator at West Point now, but she is a neuroscientist, head of sleep research for U.S. Special Forces. She was down there at Fort Bragg, and she was also in her first year a finalist to become an astronaut. Out of like 30,000 people, she was like final 10. Like she's an amazing individual, right? She's a games athlete. She's an Olympian. But I talked to her a lot about it, and she always saying you should always end hot. So you should always end in the sauna, and that helps regulate your body temperature, so it's not overworking too warm back up. And when I do that at night, it allows me to really kind of center myself and then get back to a relaxed position to go to bed.
That's amazing. That's actually a really good thought because I think most people are the reverse, right? Where if they do contrast, they end in cold. So that's a very great insight.
Yeah. She has some great stuff on it.
I'll have to look her up. What an amazing list of accomplishments.
Oh, it's insane. Yeah. She's written a book on sleep research, and she lectures a lot on it. She's the most humble person ever, but yeah, you got to check her out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, birthday. I hope you have the most awesome day and just get to like celebrate with the fam. Are you in the gym at all the rest of the day? Or are you done with the gym today?
Yeah, done today. I'm going to go back and just get the kids to practices and that stuff and get ready to eat some cookies tonight. I feel like we didn't, I feel bad sometimes because you always have this amazing agenda on these talks, and I feel like I never talk about anything on the agenda.
I have been slacking the last 2 weeks because our schedule's been a little bit crazy, and I just didn't want to put too much pressure on it. I want you guys to be able to just share whatever's on your mind and what's going on in your worlds.
Man, if you leave that up to me, I'm going to share some weird stuff. So I hope it was all right.
No, I think it always good. I mean, is there anything else top of mind for you today? Being your birthday, birthdays are always kind of a reflective moment for me. I don't know if it's the same for you.
Yeah, no, I try to make sure that every birthday I could beat the shit out of myself 20 years ago before my birthday was. If I could do that, I think I'm on the right path.
Well, from training clips, it looks to be that would be accurate.
Yeah, I know. I think I'm still doing okay. But sometimes like I wake up and like my knee hurts, right? Or like my shoulder hurts. I'm like, damn. So I think I'm doing great, and then that always brings me back to Father Time, where I'm aching. I'm like, fuck. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I'm going to go creep on the newest episode, and because we have a roundup going out on Saturday again, so I'll be working on that blog and email to share with everyone, and I can't wait to listen to the episode where you and Ryan just are silly for a little bit.
Yeah, let me know what you think. We always shout you out a bunch, so it's always in there. Yeah.
You guys are great. I appreciate you so much, and I hope you have the best for anyone who is listening and in the comments, make sure you go to Jason's page and shout him out and say happy birthday.
Thanks, Kandace.
Chat soon. Have a great week. Thank you guys so much for joining. That was it for the live today. Brandon will be back with us next week. He had some things to tend to, but him and Jerry did drop a great episode this morning, all around selling. I'm sorry if my internet is a little delayed here. I'm a little laggy, so it could be also my internet with some of the challenges we were having on Jason's side too. But be sure to check out that episode. Really great points that they made there, just about focusing on your craft as a coach and really committing to delivering a quality service and being honest about the service you're delivering. And then when it comes to selling, maximizing those moments that you have in person with someone. I couldn't agree with more. I talk a lot in the Marketing for Fitness Coaches podcast about being the 3-mile hero in your 3-mile radius, being known both in person and digitally, being visible, being helpful, and just spending time investing in relationships with people, offering as much coaching value as you can offer before they even become a client. So couldn't agree more with the points that they made on that episode, but be sure to check out all of the shows. You can go to coachrx.app/podcast-network to see all of the shows and catch up with the content that all of the coaches are putting out for you guys each week. Really, really good stuff there. So happy birthday to Jason. And I hope everyone has a great week. I actually do want to share that I will be live on Friday afternoon with Carl at 3 p.m. 3 p.m. Arizona time. So 6 p.m. Eastern. We are going to be doing a live series where we're recapping each week of the OPEX method mentorship and sharing some tidbits for people to follow along who weren't able to get into this cohort that we just started today. The next cohort will be happening in January. So if you're interested in that, make sure you chat with our team about it, but we'll be live again on Friday to talk more about that. So thank you so much. Hope everyone has a great week and we'll chat soon.